mock parliament and mock. Then after post-COVID, I was able to be in contact with Hari. Was in contact with me since 3 years. Okay, so he was in Kerala and he was conducting this kind of programs in that part of the state, like to unearth the leadership qualities in you, and as each of you are the future citizens of this great nation. So you might be, few of you have, in fact, you would have a goal to be a politician. You would have a goal to be a leader. Maybe because our it is the whole of this Indian system is divided into 3 main wings. Which are those? Judiciary, executive, legislative wing. So the important is legislative wing, which frames the laws, where judiciary and executive wing, it oversees whether the laws are being implemented in the spirit.
Today we are going to talk about NEP 2020.
So when the child becomes grown up, at that time no one will be there to say the child that how his or her performance is going. So that's why our NEP says that.
Sir, you're giving an answer, sir. Don't do that, sir. Ask him a question, sir. We'll do this later. Thank you. Sit down.
Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Today I am going to talk about some of the disadvantages of NEP 2020. In the National Education Policy 2020, language is a negative force, as there is a problematic teacher-to-student ratio in India. And then, with the introduction of NEP 2020, there is another problem, which is bringing study materials in mother language. According to National Education Policy 2020, students willing to complete their graduation have to study for 4 years, while they can easily complete his or her diploma degree in 2 years. This might encourage the pupil to leave course midway. According to National Education Policy 2020, students of private schools will be introduced to English much earlier than students of government schools, thus widening the gap between sections of the society. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll ask opening speeches for everybody. Everybody has to speak. So you raise your placard and then start. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Today, as Mr. Jagannath Reddy said, we are going to be discussing about the National Education Policy 2020. So, currently, I am Shashi Tharu from Thiruvananthapuram constituency. So, I am here to address some of the disadvantages of NEP 2020. There is much to welcome in this National Education Policy of 2020, as many of our suggestions from the opposition has been taken into account. However, this aspiration has to be matched with the correct implementation of this policy. For example, the target of 6% of the GDP to be spent upon the National Education Policy was articulated in 1948 itself. Every government just articulates this target, goes up against its own finance ministry, and does not reach this target at all. There is another problem where the teachers are going to teach students in their own mother tongue. I believe that English must be taught to the students earlier than the mother tongue. This is because the world runs on English. English is a global language. Wherever you go, English is required. So, which is why I believe English must be taught first. And lastly, the gross enrollment rate in this plan has been written as 50% in the higher education and over 100% in the secondary education. These goals are quite admirable, I tell. However, when you realize it's currently like only 25.8% in higher education and 68% in the secondary education, which is why I believe the NEP should have offered more researchable and achievable targets for innovation and study. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you. Questions to Tarun? Any questions to Shashikar? Suraj Bhumia, I can check it. Mike, pass on. Guys, I told you, asking questions is really important. Right? You have to ask questions. So if you're not prepared questions, don't worry. Listen to their speech. Understand the logic. Nobody is asking questions. Audience can also ask questions. Yes, Basuraj Bhumia, you know.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಸ್ಥಿತರಾಗಿರುವ ನನ್ನ ಜನತೆಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ and a happy morning to all the members of the parliament. So we all are aware that it has been 34 years since the education policy was introduced. So the education conditions in our country is extremely in a crisis. But NEP 2020 does not address that. The difference between the government schools and the private schools is getting huger day by day. Which means ಖಾಸಗಿ ಶಾಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಶಾಲೆಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಇರುವ ಒಂದು ಅಂತರ ತುಂಬ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೂ ಉತ್ತರ ನೀಡೋದು NEP ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನೀತಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. So let's start with the primary education focus. ECCE, which means early childhood care education, is provided. And practice of multilingualism is implemented in rural areas and tribal areas too. ಅಂದರೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ 5ನೇ ತರಗತಿಯವರೆಗೂ ಬೋಧನಾ ವಿಧಾನವು ಅವರ ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀಡಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. Which does not mean that no concentration is given to English literature. English literature is also given equal concentration in all the schools. And according to Article 49 and 35, no student is denied from quality education, and there will be a continuous profession development where teachers are given 4 years of training, and the teachers will be segregated equally among the government schools and the private schools. And NEP 2020 has promised to provide libraries and books to remote areas where they are not able to utilize the MHRD digital libraries provided for them due to lack of network. Let's take an example. For decreasing the dropout rates in school, NEP 2020 has also provided experiential learning. For example, a student who is not good at studies or interested in any other particular field such as sports can put his or her effort in that particular field and achieve something great. Let's take an example of Neeraj Chopra, who got the first gold medal for Indian Olympics. And teachers' B.Ed courses, which were of 1 or 2 years, is increased to 4 years for the holistic development of teachers, where they can improve the psychomotor capacity of students, which I think is very beneficial because...
Wind up, finish.
Thank you.
Basuraj Bhumia. Right. We'll have 3 questions. Subrata Amrish. We'll have 4 questions. Subrata Amrish, followed by Arvind Kejriwal, followed by Shashi Tharoor, followed by Jagannath Reddy, followed by Uddhav Thackeray. So we'll have 5 questions. Yes, Subrata Amrish, your question.
So I'm just standing as an independent
Question, ma'am. Your question to her.
from Mandya constituency.
Your question.
So my question is, you said that you will be teaching everyone in their mother tongue. So India has 22 languages with other languages too. So how will you afford the teachers? It's a huge challenge for India.
Thank you for the question.
That's what NEP 2020 has promised that, as I told, the 2 years of B.Ed course is increased to 4 years, where teachers are given more training for, it may be in anything. So the teachers can teach them in mother tongue. It's not that English concentration is also given the equal importance. It's not compulsory for all the schools to teach in their mother tongue.
Thank you. That question is answered.
In other mother languages.
That's what GDP is, NEP 2020 has promised to invest its GDP from 1.6% to 6%.
But it's already in
Sir. If you have to ask another question, you have to ask the permission from the speaker. Plea to follow up.
I mean,
You want a plea to follow up. Not granted. Thank you, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ DK Shivkumar. I am a member of Indian National Congress and I am from the constituency of Kanakpura. I am standing against NEP 2020. New education policy. This policy will usher in sweeping changes in the education system of our country. Due to this change, teaching in our mother tongue will become a challenge. These reforms mainly affect the formal economy, agriculture and informal sector.
But some students drop out during the middle of the studies because they cannot afford English education. Thank you.
Any questions to Kejriwal? Yes, Smriti Irani.
you said English education is important. Then what about the Indian languages? We have more than 60 languages in India which are going to demolish because of English. It's very important to save our languages.
Yeah, it is important by the way, but what we can do is we have to learn English. For any job, we need a certain English distinction to at least for any job.
We didn't tell to take everything in mother tongue, but for certain period of time, for certain classes, we are telling to teach in mother tongue so that our Indian languages will be conserved for later generation, and also the English will also be developed in higher studies.
Thank you, ma'am. I think the question is.
It would be very tough for the students to come up with their normal syllabus with the actual skill-based education. So I would not only oppose NEP, but even we are with NEP. Shiv Sena Prayar is also including the new NEP policies in their schools.
So I am afraid that it may create stress on the students and many other problems in their academic. So we know that critical thinking of the students cannot think critically. They have issue in critical thinking and logical thinking for their academic. So it may be a stress for the students.
So a very good afternoon for everyone present here and ellarigu namaskara. Nanu Sidramaya, ನನ್ನ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಯೆನ್ಸಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. ನಾನು NEPಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ NEP as everyone are telling here that NEP will bring a virtual learning and a good development in the school, and I accept it, but poor people, India is having a lot of poverty issues and people can't support they can't support it financially. So people may have some dropouts of the education. So I think that there will be a lot dropouts, too many dropouts, and people won't have education. And virtual learning, as they are telling, and people can't even afford some gadgets, as there are many poor people in Karnataka, and there is more poverty level in Karnataka. And this is why I don't support NEP.
Thank you, Sidramaya.
National education policy was brought out in which it aimed to transfer Indian education system as per the needs of 21st century. National education policy focuses on all aspects of education. Early education was like resharpening the curriculum and reforming the examination procedures.
सभी को नमस्कार. मैं सोनिया गांधी, रायबरेली, उत्तर प्रदेश से. मेरे पार्टी का नाम भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस है. गुड मॉर्निंग. Good morning, all not present here. My constituency is Raebareli, Uttar Pradesh, and party name is Indian National Congress. As our Sidramaya said that everyone cannot afford gadgets. Yeah, in our rural areas, everyone cannot afford like smartphones, tabs, and laptops. Mainly in rural areas. So our point is like the problem is further compounded by poor IT infrastructure of government and schools. So my point is like everyone cannot, as our Sidramaya said. Yeah, thank you. That is what I said, that in rural areas everyone cannot afford smartphones.
Lalu sir, don't sleep sir. It's not Bihar sir. Switzerland madam.
You said poor people are more entitled. You were elected by them as member of legislative assembly so that you will make changes. Why didn't you bring the changes to bring up the poor people? You would have brought up them, right? So that they can use gadgets now.
Simple question, ma'am. For the last 70 years, why didn't you do all this? Correct, ma'am? See?
मेरा नाम ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया from Madhya Pradesh constituency. I strongly agree with NEP policy 2020 that from past 2 decades, India is following the old and ancient education policy, which is only focusing on English and marks-based education system. But when after the NEP 2020, the India is focusing on the holistic development of every child and focusing on the vocational education and giving more importance to the mother languages and giving more importance to every child, giving education to every child, and we have poverty line in 2 to 4% in our Madhya Pradesh constituency. So we are
Madhya Pradesh constituency, state level.
Guna constituency, which I am contesting from that constituency. So we are union budget in Indian budget system. Using that money, we will expand this. We will decrease this poverty in our constituency and implementing the education for accessibility for everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Greetings to one and all present here. I am K.K. Nayacha from Communist Party. As Siddaramaiah and Sonia Gandhi said that all poor people cannot get gadgets, then NEP makes the online classes. And NEP is not making sure that all schools are getting good facilities and well-trained teachers. And all the government schools are getting closed after new NEPs due to lack of facilities. And also, all the students are getting brain damage and eye damage from online classes after the pandemic also.
Thank you.
A warm welcome to Honorable Speaker, Prime Minister and my dear colleague cabinets. I am M.K. Stalin from DMK party from the constituency of Chennai. Want to speak about the advantages of
Constituency of Chennai?
Chennai constituency.
Chennai is not a constituency. What's your constituency? Kolattur constituency. Go on.
I am from the constituency of Kolattur. I would like to share a few points about the advantages of NEP 2020. With the assistance of NEP 20, we can see that government hopes to make education accessible to everyone. We can also know that more than 2 crore students can be brought back to their educational institutions. With the improvement of NEP 2020, the current strategy is to change the plan of 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 with an additional 3 years of learning of preschooling. The ages of 3 to 8, 8 to 11, 11 to 14, 14 to 18 are represented in this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system. NCERT will plan for a national curricular and pedagogical framework. Early child.
Good afternoon everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, and it's my pleasure to introduce myself. I'm Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister of India from BJP. I'm here to speak about the National Education Policy 2020. The Government of India will bring in a new education policy system to transform India's higher education to global's one of the best education systems. The new policy proposes major changes in both school and higher education, better government systems, and brings greater focus on research and innovation. NEP has proposed to upgrade the teaching of Global Initiative of Academic Network beyond programs for higher education. I therefore propose to start a program study in India that would focus on bringing foreign students to India for higher education, and hence setting up of Education Commission would presented a year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, much different.
Good morning everyone. I am Sophia Convent from National Congress Party and currently a member of Parliament in 17th Lok Sabha, and my constituency is Maharashtra. Today I would like to explain about disadvantages of NEP 2020. The policy provides for reforms at all levels of education from higher school to higher education. Disadvantages such as enforcement of language. The NEP embraces the introduction of mother tongue in primary classes, which is used to teach a principal subject, while English will be taught much later stage. Delay in teaching of English. The NEP suggests ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಿರೋ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ 5ನೇ ತರಗತಿಯಿಂದ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಿಂಡರ್ಗಾರ್ಟನ್ ಇಂದಲೇ ಶುರು ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
Good morning to everyone present here. Honorable Speaker, and all the parliamentaries. As we all know, our old NEP was formulated back in the year 1986. It has been 34 years since now. Recommended by the Union Human Resource Development Ministry, we are coming forward to bring up new policies for education in India that will lead to global knowledge superpower of India. In this policy of education, we follow 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, in which 12 years of school and 3 years of preschool, which replaces the 10 plus 2 structure of old, which gives more importance for students to. You may ask, like, why is the school is for more years, but this emphasizes students to learn more, as students always concentrate on studies in the school more than her higher studies, and this will help students gain more knowledge in school, and it aims at increasing the public investment to reach.
Arvind Kejriwal, only with relevant question. Yes, Tarun.
Yeah, so since you are the one who is developing this NEP 2020, I would like to know why isn't it being implemented yet? What is the framework or the guidance regulation for this one?
See, we cannot implement as per the ideas I get or our party gets. We should get some support and new ideas from others also. When you question us, we try to answer, research more about other things and get back to answer and form more and make it more productive and informative.
No, thank you. Yes, Jayamon Reddy.
How will the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system help? It's the same thing, just change of numbers.
See, we are replacing the 10 plus 2 structure to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. It's not the same, which increases the school time, like the school years are greater and children can learn more in schools.
Yes.
Policy, 4 years of degree will be there. So one who is completing diploma in 2 years, they have to complete it for 4 years. This encourages the pupil to leave the course in midway. Dropout rate increases. What is this?
Valid question. Thank you.
I'll get back to you.
So,
all present here. I am Mamta Banerjee from West Bengal. I am against the National Education Policy 2020 because the language is one of the main negative factor of National Education Policy. India has a problem of disturbing teacher and student ratio. So teaching in mother tongue will help the children, but English also should be taught. And National Education Policy costs 2 lakh crore for 1 year. To implement National Education Policy, Education Ministry has submitted a demand of 15th finance rupees of 10.37 lakh crore to the 15th Finance Commission for 5 years of period. Many students and teachers in New Delhi oppose this National Education Policy. And if scholarships provided in this system is removed, it will drastically affect the education of the girls.
Shikaripura. The NEP means New Education Policy. The New Education Policy was implemented by the chairman and founder ISRO to formulate the NEP represented in 2019. The New Education Policy approved by the Government of India in July 29, 2022. The New Education Policy will be replaced for the old 34-year-old education policy. The 5 pillars of NEP means assess equality, quality, affordability and accountability. Aims and goals of NEP: good health, well-being, effective communications. They inhibit environment, universalization of education for preschool and secondary school level with 100% across enrollment.
Meghalaya. I am going to talk about NEP, National Education Policy. There is no proper education to the children and everyone has to be literated for the future of our nation. And there is a lack of teachers for the school. In some schools एक टीचर मैथ पढ़ाती तो वही टीचर दूसरी पीरियड में हिंदी भी पढ़ाती है. जब कॉन्सेप्ट की कंफ्यूज होकर फिर उस कॉन्सेप्ट में लैक हो जाता है। और 3 to 4 साल पहले ये कोरोना की वेव आकर लॉकडाउन हुआ था, तभी ऑनलाइन क्लासेस स्टार्ट किया था और बच्चे सोशल मीडिया गेम्स पर एडिक्ट होकर कॉन्सेप्ट और सब्जेक्ट पर लैक हो गए और टीचर्स भी इस कॉन्सेप्ट को कॉन्सेंट्रेट नहीं किया और टीचर्स भी इसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं लिया।
नमस्कार देशवासियों, मैं अमित शाह हूँ, भारत के गृह सचिव हूँ। मैं एनईपी के बारे में बात करने के लिए चाहता हूँ। एनईपी का मतलब है कि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी का एक स्कीम है। ये विचार हमारे भारतीय विद्यार्थियों को बहुत मदद कर रहा है। दिस स्कीम इज इम्प्लीमेंटेड फॉर द ओनली रीजन दैट वेलफेयर ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स। हमारी देश में एक निधि हमारी विद्या युवक है, उनके एजुकेशन हमारे देश की सम्मान बढ़ता है। एनईपी विल वर्क टू ब्रिंग एजुकेशन आउट ऑफ द स्कोप ऑफ नैरो थिंकिंग। NEP has reoriented India's education system according to future demands of Narendra Modi ji. In India, education has been internationalized with implementation of NEP Dharmananda Pradhan. The task of new education policy is to create such citizens who imprint with the feeling of national pride as well as the world welfare. Education is one of the assets which everyone gains in earlier ages. This scheme will still more make the education more beneficial. Some students may feel that it makes the education system tough, but this policy helps in increasing the IQ level of the all students in earlier ages. This also improves the thinking capacity of students. From this scheme, students prepare for higher education in lower ages. ये सब हमारी नरेंद्र मोदी जी से हुआ है। हम सब उनके तरफ से अभिनंदन व्यक्त करना चाहता हूँ। हम सब उनके मदद को सम्मान करना चाहता हूँ। धन्यवाद। बोलो भारत माता की जय।
Questions? Any more questions? Yes, Yediyurappa, no, Kumaraswamy, Uddhav Thackeray, Jagannath.
The new national education policy is aiming for the welfare of students. How will you bring the welfare for students?
By giving more institutions and universities and more.
Saying that the infrastructures will be developed. If the infrastructure is developing, even the fee structure will also develop. It will be very expensive and not affordable for many people. How will you change?
We will give more scope and we will give less fees for all students in our NEP. In NEP we will make short fees for poor people students.
1 year for NEP 2020. Where will you get that money?
From the party of RGD, from the constituency of Bihar. Education is the key to the India's continued ascent and leadership. Education is fundamental for achieving full human potential. So the disadvantages of NEP 2020 are teaching fundamental subjects in mother tongue will be tough for the children who are studying, as India has 22 scheduled languages. The main thrust of this policy regarding higher education is to end the fragmentation of higher education by transforming higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary universities. The NEP 2020 has started some online classes on the COVID periods. During the online classes, some students took up the advantages such as muting
muting the devices if the teacher asks some questions to the children.
Thank you.
From constituency Ramnagara. I totally oppose National Education Policy 2020 because students get partial degrees for completing the course midway. This can make this can increase the rates of dropouts in colleges, and this will provide half knowledge for students. Take for example an engineering course. It's for 4 years. He drops out at the second year and gets a partial degree. The student thinks that keeping that degree he'll get some earning. But when he wants to implement it in heavy engineering materials, he won't have the knowledge to handle it. This can create a mess and it will be a huge threat to the nation. And the second thing is that affordability. People can't afford more gadgets or any type of technical devices. Though there are people who have mobiles, but laptops and tablets can be way more costlier than small devices like mobile phones. And so many, as Smriti Rani said, the 6% of GDP is used for the education. Though we have funds, it's not getting implemented in the right way. I don't think so this is a valid policy. I don't oppose it fully, but there are some drawbacks which can make people, which can end up dropouts in colleges.
Thank you, Kumar Sir.
The speaker who are present here. Before beginning my speech, I thank the speakers for providing me this wonderful opportunity. I am Mr. Naren Kumar Patel, representing Dakshin Kannada constituency in Karnataka. I am from the Bharatiya Janata Party. I strongly believe that the new education policy 2020 is going to revolutionize the education in our country. There are many benefits from this policy. The first benefit of this policy is that students should get more flexibility in choosing their subjects. Our present education system tries to fit students into 3 categories: science, commerce and arts. With the implementation of NEP, the students would be able to select the subjects in which they have interest in and study them. The second benefit of this policy is vocational training. Pottery, gardening, artisans, plumbing. These are some of the activities that policy is that students should self-evaluate themselves. Presently, the teachers assess the performance of the students to academic structure would be replaced by the 5+3+3+4 system. The benefits from this is that the schooling would begin at age.
National Education Policy 2020, students of the private schools will be introduced regional languages of the school's students. This is one of the major new educational policy drawbacks, as this will increase the number of students uncomfortable in communicating in English, thus widening the gap between sections of the societies. However, there are some points which have received criticism from sections of the society. The following are some of the advantages of digital divide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
A very warm welcome to one and all present here. I am Meenakshi Lekhi. I happen to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Culture. So, before starting, now mumkin bhi ab mumkin hai. The impossible is possible now. Because the new education policy has introduced, that is NEP 2020, is paving the way for making education in India, which is flexible and simultaneously bridging the gap between education and real world opportunities. This puts forward many policy changes regarding teachers and students as well. When coming to teachers, the new education policy must help recruit the very best and brightest to enter the teaching and autonomy, which is also instilling in the system basic methods of the education. It is 5+3+4 circular and state, corresponding to ages 3 to 8 years, 8 to 11 years, 11 to 14 years, and 14 to 18 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sumlata Amrish, standing as an independent candidate from Mandya constituency. NEP 2020-1988 ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ನೀತಿಯನ್ನು ಬದಲಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಜನವರಿ 2015ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಜಿ ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ TSR ಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯಂ ನೇತೃತ್ವದ ಸಮಿತಿಯು ಹೊಸ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ನೀತಿಗಾಗಿ ಸಮಾಲೋಚನಾ ನೇತೃತ್ವ ಪ್ರತಿಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸಿತು. Though it might sound practical, needs of the hour, but the focus on digitalization of education and the promotion of e-learning under the NEP 2020 seems to overlook the fact that only just 30% of Indians can afford smartphones, and some of them can afford computers. That the schools run by the government do not have a strong infrastructure, so the student in remote regions would be underprivileged socio-economic background. So according to the education policy, students willing to complete their graduation of study of 4 years will have to study for 4 years. One who was completing his or her diploma degree in 2 years. This might encourage the pupil to leave the course midway. Students of private school will be introduced to English at a much earlier age than the students.
BJP. I am here to talk about the NEP, National Education Policy, which is approved by the Union Cabinet of the India on 29 July 2020. The policy is comprehends BJP party elected from Lucknow constituency in Uttar Pradesh. As the Defence Minister of India, I support the implementation of National Education Policy 2020 as it gives importance to courses like NCC and Scouts and Guides, which help students bring interest in joining the Indian Army. NEP 2020 also gives importance to physical education, which is very necessary nowadays.
Happy morning everyone. Vanita present here. Myself Hassanat Vadan. Today I am going to speak few words about equality education that promotes critical thinking and creativity. Encourage students to strive towards their full potential and foster a spirit of contribute to the building the nation mission of foundation, literacy and numeracy. NEP goal is to groom students with skills to face the uncertain future.
To do a few things every day, basics like reading newspaper, to understand what is happening around you. Right? Once you read up about NEP, you understand there is so much involved in what you are learning. Right? We start reading newspapers every day, understand what is happening around you. Who's my MLA, who's my councillor, who's my MP, who's my chief minister, who's my prime minister, who are the list of ministers. See, this you need to have a knowledge because you are the next generation of our country, right? Why we did a mock parliament? We could have done something else, we could have done a debate, we could have done something else, we could have done exam, we could have done docket tackle like we did in class. Why did we do a mock parliament? It is because you are the next generation of our country. Take our country ahead, take it forward. It is in your hands.
Actually, I felt happy about Rishankar also because this type of session should be done in every school. Because, why? Because, and now at present in the academy, they have introduced the constitution in the diploma colleges and engineering colleges also. But there is no exam. But each and every citizen should know about the parliament, should know about the constitution. That is a fundamental reason. And another why I felt happy is, when I see the politicians, many politicians, who knows, some have become the MLA, some have become the minister, some have become the CM, some of them have become prime minister. We don't know what is the future. But igniting the knowledge of fire, the knowledge, the ignition, the spark, that is very important about the constitution. Okay. And the constitution of India, the constitution of India, and it is the supreme law of India. And this, the constitution, lays down the framework that demonstrates the fundamental political code, the structure, procedures, powers and duties of the government institution, and set out a fundamental rights, directive principles and the duties of the citizen. And our Indian constitution, which was written by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he was the chairman of the heading the constitution, and it is one of the lengthiest constitution in the world. And many of the countries, they are now referring our Indian constitution to their countries to.
Hello, I am Vidrut Vayar of grade 7 St. Sophia Convent School. I am going to talk about my experience about the mock parliament. The mock parliament was very nice, and I like the fact that it represents how the Lok Sabha goes on and helps me learn how to be self-confident. I would like to thank my sir, Mr. Harish Shankar Padmanabhan sir, for teaching me to speak confidently. Thank you.
Hello, I am Pranav Ganesh Palagiri. I played the character of Shashi Tharoor in the mock parliament session held in St. Sophia Convent School. I am studying in 9th standard. The mock parliament was very educative. I learned to be confident, and this is the first time I have spoken again on such a crowd since the lockdown. So I am going to participate more in such events because this has given me courage. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Anagha Girish of grade 10A. I thank you for our school St. Sophia Convent and Speak Your Minds for giving me this opportunity to participate in mock parliament and giving me the role of Smriti Irani. I learned many things from this mock parliament, how to question the ruling party or the against, and how to answer their questions, how to bring up new policies, and it has taken out my stage fear, and I'm very confident now in speaking in front of anybody. Thank you. I'm Harshita. Hello everyone, I'm Harshita SP from 10th standard. I thank my school, St. Sophia Convent High School and Speak Your Mind for giving me this great opportunity and the character of Basavaraj Bommai, where it taught me how the parliament or the constitution is working and how the MLAs and MPs actually answer the questions and how the parliament will go on. And thank you for building up my confidence skills, and I lost my stage fear in this session. Thank you sir, and thank you everyone for this opportunity.
Hello everyone, I am Abhinav Mehta of grade 9A from St. Sophia Convent High School. I am very much proud to participate in the mock parliament which had taken place in our school by Speak by Your Mind, and even I would thank our director sir, Mr. Yogesh BK, for taking such a great thing to our school and help us and support us in the mock parliament. And from this mock parliament I have learned that how the parliament actually takes place, how the MPs, how the MLAs question and answer to their questions, and also what is an role of the speaker in the parliament. Thank you very much to Speak in Your Mind and St. Sophia Convent High School.
Hello, I am Keshav from grade 7th A. I thank my school, I am from St. Sophia Convent High School. I thank Speak Your Mind and my respective director sir for giving me this opportunity to participate in the mock parliament session. I have learned many things from this session. I have lost all my stage fear, and now I know how the parliament takes place. It also helped me build up my confidence. Thank you.
I am Abhay. Happy morning. I am Abhay Surya from grade 8A. I was holding a character of Conrad Sangma, was the Chief Minister of Meghalaya. I am proudly saying this because I have got such a grateful director giving me this opportunity to me, and who encouraged me is Hari sir, and who filled me with confidence. I have lost my fearness in the stage, and I would thanks everyone to give me this opportunity in the media. Thank you.
Good morning everybody. I am Akshay VS. I thank my principal sir, director sir. I am studying in St. Sophia Convent High School. I thank my principal sir, Yogesh sir. Why? Because he gave me an opportunity to talk in the front of the public. And I learned how to speak in the parliament and how to converse with each other in the parliament. Thank you.
Namaste. I'm Mr. Yogesh, Director of St. Sophia Convent High School, Nagarbavi. I'm really happy that today we have conducted at our school a mock parliament session for grade 6 to 9th onwards, 6 to 9th classes. It was a wonderful program which was mentored by Speak Your Mind Education by Mr. Harishankar and team. So they've trained the children in a span of 5 days and made a wonderful session for all of us and to whole of the school community here. They've in fact in our school, like, we've been promoting more of such kind of value-based programs as well as leadership development programs at our school. So as a part of it, Speak Your Mind, they conducted a 15-day session on public speaking and block and tackle, ads app, and many sessions were conducted where children were so enthusiastically participated and they got to know more about like the life skills here. So as a part of life skill development program, this was one among them. So and I thank Dr. Shiva Prakash sir, who is a professor at Ambedkar Engineering College. He was the chief guest of the day's function. I really appreciate for his kind presence here. So at our school, like, we've been always, this today is a last day of our academic session. So we've been conducting such wonderful sessions throughout the year, and this program is a culmination. And I congratulate whole of the school fraternity, principal, teachers, and all the students who overwhelmingly participated in this event and won prizes and certificates from the Speak Your Mind. So best wishes to all of you. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Today, I've been as a chief guest for this mock parliament session in St. Sophia High School Convent, Populative Palya, Bangalore. And it was organized by the director of St. Sophia School, Yogi sir, and it was trained by the Harishankar and the team. And the students have participated and they learned about how they've been in the parliament and been actively participated and taking the each and every role of the parliament, each and role of the MLAs, and being the opposition party, ruling party, and actively participating in asking the question and answering, and it was a very wonderful session. And really, I am very much happy that the director Yogi sir, who has been organized this the mock parliament session, which will going to ignite the knowledge of the parliament session and the knowledge of the constitution, so that the students will going to become the future politicians. And at present, the generation needs this type of session, and the students are very well participated. And I congratulate the Harishankar and the team for training them, and I also congratulate the Yogi sir, who has taken a very actively participation in giving lot of enthusiasm to the students. And I thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Kannada.
Hi, this is Harishankar, the founder and CEO of Speak Your Mind Education. Today marks the day that we have successfully completed the mock parliament at St. Sophia's Convent, Nagarbavi. I would like to take this opportunity to mark my gratitude to Yogesh sir and the entire school team for giving us the wonderful opportunity. It is not very often these days, you see school teachers and school principals encouraging you to do that is something that is co-curricular or extracurricular. And this, sir deserves a special mention for doing this at the school. And more than all of this, more than us, it is the students who have benefited largely with the mock parliament. I would also take this opportunity to thank my trainers and students who have taken a brilliant effort to make this event a grand success. Despite just 5 to 6 days of preparation, they have pulled off a great job. I'm sure the parliamentarians, if they are observing this, they would also take some points from them as to be how to be innovative. And the essence of why we are having students to do the mock parliament is they come up with more innovative and more logical solutions than practical solutions, right? So I think the whole of the country can take some points from these students and try to implement that in our near future. Thank you.
ಈ ದಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂತ ಸೋಫಿಯಾ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಲಾಗಿದ್ದ ಮಾಕ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಣಕು ಸಂಸತ್ತು. ಈ ದಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂತ ಸೋಫಿಯಾ ಶಾಲೆ ನಾಗರ್ಬಾವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯೋಜಿಸಲಾಗಿದ್ದ ಮಾಕ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅಣಕು ಸಂಸತ್ತು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಉತ್ಸಾಹದಿಂದ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಸಂಸತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದು ಮತ್ತು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಲು ಸಹಾಯಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಗುಂಪು ಚರ್ಚೆಯ ತಂತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ತರಬೇತಿ ನೀಡುವುದು ಮತ್ತು ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆಯವರ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಗೌರವ ಮತ್ತು ಶ್ರೈಷ್ಠತೆಯನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸುವುದು. ಮಾಕ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಯಕತ್ವದ ಗುಣ ಬೆಳೆಸುವುದು ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ಪ್ರಜೆಯಾಗಲು ರೂಪುಗೊಳ್ಳಲು ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗುತ್ತದೆ ಎಂಬುದು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶವಾಗಿದೆ. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, ಜೈ ಭಾರತ ಮಾತಾ.